I was hoping I'd replaced you this week with this other whiskey expert, Marty.
Well, Justin, what you mean replaced? Get rid of me. Get rid of me. Justin,
Yeah.
we haven't been on live for 2 weeks. Last week, you were on live, but I had to put the words in your mouth.
You did. You made me sound really, 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 really good. As a matter of fact, 3 people completely come up to me, completely unsolicited, and says, that was a brilliant speech. And I thought, oh, right.
It's nice that you give me a credit at the end.
Yeah, I know. I didn't rip it up. I ripped it up and threw it away. I ripped it up and threw it away. But really good response down there. And what a place! The Dog and Glenwinnie Gastropub. It's lovely. I'm going to have to go there in August, actually, Marty.
I know you get fed and all, Justin.
Not only did I have my meal, I had your meal as well.
I don't even get a bloody doggy bag. But anyway, there you go.
I know.
But anyway, we have a guest.
Yes, we have a guest. We'll be talking to Kira in about 15 minutes. If she's still there, when we come back.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, she'll not go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Kira. Don't go anywhere.
I know, I won't.
I know Justin's here, and you might want to flee. That's what most people want to do once they meet him. But please don't.
All right, stay there for us in the green room, and we'll get on with the show. Better say hi to some people this week already, because you probably wondered where we were. Marty was away in Scotland. Sean McLennan, good evening to you. Thomas Jones, hello to you. Julie Mason, hello to you. Hello to you. William McLennan as well. Mm-hmm. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much. James Doherty's watching. Yes. Yeah, we're all well. We're all good. You're back from your travels as well. Cian Boland's there as well. Everyone is well. We're just off 2 weeks. It couldn't be helped. It's just the way it was. Anthony Sillett, even one and all. Frank Heron. Yeah, we're both back live. Yeah. Yeah.
Are they live?
Yeah. Peter Gabraith, JNM. Good evening. Yes, very good. Yeah.
And then Linda all the way from Canada saying hello to us.
J&M, that makes it sound like B&M, the discount store.
I know.
Peter,
M&J would be a better way of putting it, wouldn't it?
No, but MJ does the radio in the mornings here, so anyway.
I was in Wales this week. I was in Wales this week, so we picked up a wee bottle of Welsh whiskey, Aberfoyles here, look.
Very nice. Where's mine?
It's a bit like my dinner down in Glenwinnie. I actually stopped off at a distillery and I got a bit of a look around in the Welsh Wind distillery just outside Cardigan. So we'll get a chat with them at some point in the not too distant future, maybe.
Hold on a minute, Marty. Where's all the signs gone?
Aye, Justin. Now, I've been feng shuied. My wee darling has decided that everything needs renovated and moved and changed. And it's a good thing. As Buddha says, all things impermanence. Nothing is permanent. So everything has to be changed, right? So, I'm going to look more academic because we've got my books and shot. All the stuff will come over. I'm going to emigrate all the stuff over here. But she's moved everything. And the room flows better.
This is the worst coincidence possible because actually there's decoration going on here, and it looks like I'm sitting at the other end of the room. That is the worst timing. That is the worst timing of decoration ever because this isn't normal either. That's terrible. It's definitely a separate house, and it's definitely about 25 minutes apart. That's really bad. Honestly, that's really bad continuity. That's terrible.
But no, as she's been moving everything about. I don't really know where anything is, Justin. But I don't want to say anything. Everything's been moved. So I was cooking dinner tonight. And I was like, oh, that'll do. So anyway, it worked out okay in the end. But no, it's just everything's been moved about.
Okay.
So as I.
Well, what has been the world of whiskey up to in the past week then?
Well, I mean, there's a few things going on. 3 festivals coming up that I want to talk about over the next couple of months. Obviously, Belfast Whisky Week is coming. The enormous and getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. Belfast Whisky Week is starting on the 21st of this month. Now, you had a bit of a chat with Paul last week, I believe.
I did. He was in with the radio with me on Monday, and
Aye.
it was an excellent show. He gave away 2 great prizes actually, so it was really good. And somebody had an argument with him on air about whether whiskey had a knee or it didn't have a knee.
Oh God. It's one of those things just like slide down the wall. Oh, please God, leave me alone. Yeah, Belfast Whiskey Week is coming up. It's a huge event. It's just getting bigger and bigger. There's like 100 events or something at it, or very near that.
101 events.
101 events. Everything. 15 pound events that are Dunvilles and smash burgers where you get 2 or 3 drinks in it. All the way up to £250 events. One of which is pre-1980s whiskies with yours truly, £250 a ticket, Justin.
Nice. I might invite myself along to that one if I'm allowed.
I'll not be free. You'll not get a freebie at that one, Justin. But no, yeah. So I'm doing walking tours every evening, pretty much. It's a walking tour of Belfast. We'll be doing drinky poos, stopping off, having various bits and pieces. There's food. Sometimes it's the same as most of that stuff. Certainly if you know Paul, it's a work in progress right up to it gets finished. But no, it's it's just a huge event. There's people coming over from Tasmania, Scottish guys coming over. There's all the stuff for the day. And even if you're not that interested in whiskey, or you're new to whiskey, or you're just a bit of a nerd about this kind of stuff, there's loads of stuff. There's just loads of stuff,
Yeah, and I think some things have started to sell out already. It's not surprising the caliber of who's talking and what's being delivered. So there you go.
Well, I mean, there's always festival bottles that are kind of unique. Well, not kind of unique. They are unique. You only get them there. And it's a credit to Paul. It really is. The amount of work and effort and energy that goes into the whole thing. I know he's not does it do it all by himself, but he is a sort of, in many ways, a one-man band. And a lot of the stuff is his own ideas. So much so that it's his ideas. He doesn't actually tell anybody sometimes, but that's just the nature of him. But he knows that, the likes of myself, he'll sometimes just spring stuff on you and say, "Oh, do this," but he knows I'm not going to bother. It's not going to bother me.
No, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
It
all comes together on the night, and everybody has a fantastic time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think it's a credit to him. It's a credit to Belfast, to the wider sort of whiskey community. So yeah, good on. But that's Belfast Whiskey Week, 21st to the 29th of July.
There's the link. Book now.
Get on there and see what you fancy, what you're available for, what you're free for, and certainly get your rear ends up to it. But another one in August, and this is a much smaller affair, but it's the All Ireland Whisky Fair and Whisky Championship. Right. So it's on the 11th of August. There's 3 sessions, blind tasting, to determine the winner of what is the people's favourite whiskey. Now, bear with me, because there's throughout the day, All Ireland Whisky Championship. The winner is chosen in the most democratic voting panel. The public offers a chance to meet some of Ireland's best whisky distilleries, taste some of the best Irish whiskies, and very importantly, to vote for the best Irish whiskey in the All Ireland Whisky Championships. There will be music throughout the day, with guest musicians and special giveaways. Held in the centre of Ireland's only island town. This is the opportunity not to be missed.
Wow, this looks good. This looks new. Is this completely new? Is it?
This is brand new. It's being done by our friends down at the Scots Irish Whisky Distillery. If you go down, it'll be there's some people there. The distillery. I don't know who else involved. I'm not privy to that just yet. But there'll be some people there.
I think I got sent a press release, and I probably could tell you if I looked it up. But I do know that you can get Scots Irish whiskey in the Aspire Lounge at Belfast City Airport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're doing a deal of sending some stuff over to India and stuff very shortly, which is Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but yeah, I think they are.
Good.
It's nice to see that there's more and more of these little things popping up and little festivals from which they can grow. Because another one, and this is our very, very good friends over in Scotland, the wonderful, wonderful Serena and Graham, who did the Clackmanshire that we've been over to a couple of times now, are doing the Edinburgh Whisky Festival. Long, long time overdue. A festival in Edinburgh at Murrayfield. Now, it's going to be the 14th of October.
Now, that's a prestigious venue, Murrayfield, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the home of Scottish rugby, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed. It is indeed. So they're doing that. That's going to be a fairly big thing. There's well over 40 stands at it. I think that's what you told me during the week. People tell me all this stuff. It's hard to keep up, as you well know.
It is.
But it's going to be big, but it's still going to have that 3 strands. That's a key thing that they do, which I take my hat off. It's the whiskey, the heritage, and the wellness. And the whiskey's great. We love it. Okay. The heritage, it's one of the key things that interests me. But the wellness is something really, really, really unique. That's ingrained built up from the floor up. That they take it and want people to recognise that there is people with problems, and this is how it can be helped, and charity work and so on and so forth. So good on
you. Could take the wife for a weekend, a winter weekend, an autumn weekend in Edinburgh, and say, "Oh, you go shopping today on your own, and I'll do my own thing." And she would never ever know that you were at Edinburgh and Clackmannishers with
or Justin, the wife might take the husband and say, "Go into the Royal Mile there. Go you and enjoy yourself in the Royal Mile. Go up to the Atlas Obscura, go up to the thing at the top of the Royal Mile. I'll just stay out at Murrayfield here later on. I'm going to go and watch some bit of women's rugby or something." And then,
you could do.
But I mean, there's piles of stuff there for everybody. But these festivals coming up, excellent stuff. So that's the 21st to 29th July, the 11th of August down in Enniskillen, and the 14th of October over in Edinburgh. And all 3 of these have been nice events to attend.
Excellent stuff. Yeah.
But Belfast Whisky Week's coming up first, and yours truly will be doing some touring about. So if you want to come up, it'll be a laugh and a giggle. And this time there's going to be food and stuff in it. We're getting that all sorted out. So Justin, no doubt, will be there.
Oh! I find myself available for all tours. There we go. What's next tonight? Because our guest is waiting in the wings. Kira Kamateras from Teeling.
Now, this is possibly the stupidest thing I've heard in a long time. Chivas Regal, the huge Scottish whisky brand, okay, have decided that they're going to bring out a travel exclusive bottling. And it is a blend where I quote, a portion of the blend spent time in Irish whiskey casks. What exactly does that mean? I mean, Kira might be able to...
Does that make it within the technical file, does it?
No, of course it doesn't.
Right.
It's a Scottish whiskey that's aged in Irish whiskey casks. But I mean, is it in a Teeling's Black Pit's cask, for example? Because there's a damn sight different between a Teeling's Black Pit cask and there is in a Redbreast 12 cask or extra. I mean, what does this even mean? I mean, it's just utter bollocks, if I'm totally honest. Just
right.
It's words fail me. Words fail.
Well, maybe marketers come up with it. It looks like the bottle looks excellent.
No,
the packaging looks good. The brand, it's green and blue. It's Scottish. It's fabulous.
So busy and rubbish. But it was a Spirits Business article this week, and it's just, I mean, come on. I mean, that's contributing nothing to the flavour of that. They're not telling you anything about that. I mean, is it virgin Irish oak? I don't think so. If it was, then that might be a slightly different thing. But it's what does it mean?
Don't know.
It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. there are Irish whiskies that are finished in ex-Scotch casks. But what they're doing with that is they'll be taking an Ardbeg or a Lafroig cask to get that sort of phenolic peatiness out of the cask. I'm not sure. I've never been convinced that actually works all that well. But that's a slightly different thing because it's a peated cask. At no point did they ever turn and say, "Oh, this is Irish whiskey finished in a Scotch whiskey cask to give it a Scottish flavour." What's that mean? It's just absolute crap. Just crap. If that's the best, if that's Scotland's answer to the fact that Irish whiskey's doing well, Scotch is doomed. If that's the best that they're going to be able to come up with,
there's Peter Gabriel says, "Leave our casks alone."
Come on.
Isn't that a song? Isn't that a song? I think it is a song. I think it is.
but no, it's just pathetic.
Leave our kids alone. It's leave our kids alone. It is, yeah.
But I mean, it's just pathetic if I'm totally honest. But anyway, that is what it is. If that's the best they can come up with, Shivers, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I'm getting a beat here. Anyway, next up, bit of good news for Irish whiskey distillery. The Glens of Antrim. The Glens of Antrim distillery, which is just up the road from me. I live in the Glens. It's just up the road from me. Is the Glens of Antrim distillery are sending over 7,000 bottles of their Green Crest to the US. So really nice news for them, and the McKillop family down there.
Is that's the Lear brand, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Lear brand. Yeah.
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it yet, but I imagine it's very appealing to the American market because it's the Children of Lear. It's the mythical story.
Yeah. Do people know about the Children of Lear? About well, they put it like this. They have a thing called the 900 Club. They want to sell 900 of their first castle whiskey because the Children of Lear were turned into swans out in the Sea of Moyle, just off the coast, the Northampton coast, and they were swans for 900 years. So this is they want to sell the first casks, 900 casks that will be the first releases and so on and so forth. These guys do crisps as well. Their salt and vinegar crisps are superb. Top drawer stuff, aren't they, Justin? Yes,
to do. It does go well. It does go well with Chris. It does go well with Chris. Nuts.
Justin wants product placement.
Well, I've tried to say to Sean Killip before about crisps, but he knows I would just eat them.
Yeah,
that would be.
Justin's diet goes for a burden if he's getting free crisps.
That's exactly. There's where you can get the crisps. We're going to show you what the crisps look like. They're not available down south, so if you're watching this in the Republic of Ireland, you can't get the crisps there. But I will tell you, this is the crisp, and their standard bag is a big bag, which is why I like them. But there you go. There's your crisps.
There's like 5 packets of crisps in one big bag.
And they do a gammon one. They do gammon, and
they also do sriracha, which is beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
They do.
Yeah, they are tasty and really crispy, which is nice.
There's Peter Stewart, and they just do sweet potato, and
they did indeed. Lovely stuff.
They were. So let's not guess.
One wee quick thing before we go. The 26th of August, their day out. I'm doing a few bits and pieces to try and get it sorted out. I'll be in touch with everybody. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch up to now. I've just been flat out with work, and then I took a few days over in Wales as a wee bit of a holiday. But I'll get some sorted out this weekend. I've been in touch with a couple of people about a couple of things we're going to do. So basically, we'll do a day out in Belfast, grind a few different things, some new stuff maybe some people haven't seen. Go and visit Titanic Distillery. Go for a wee whiskey tasting, maybe in McHugh's, wee simple whiskey tasting type thing. Pop our heads in at the friend at hand. Go for a couple of drinks. Up to Ballymena, up and see our mate Stanley, and get a bit of a grub up in there in the Go Sun, and I'll maybe bring up a bottle of something nice that we can all partake in.
Sounds like a plan. Stand by, Kira. Here you come.
Hey, there she is.
Hi, how are you guys?
Now, Kira, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing? I'm
doing all right. I'm having a bit more drink. I've took a few days off from the booze there for a day or two, which so I'm getting back in the saddle just to make sure I haven't missed anything. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's a pleasure to meet you, Kira. How are you?
Oh, no, same to you. Yeah.
You bumped into Justin, and you're still willing to come on here.
Pardon? Oh yeah.
I do apologise.
Online. She hasn't
Online,
met me
yeah.
in real life. She hasn't
No,
met
no.
me in real life.
Not yet,
Sorry,
yeah.
that explains it then. That's that sort of. Kira
Yeah.
is a distiller down at Teeling, down in Dublin. Well, I suppose I have to ask the simple question. What's your background? How did this come about? How did you get into that?
I originally, when I was about to go off to college, there was a new course that had come up in brewing and distilling down in Carlow IT, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and it seemed really interesting because it was really science heavy, and I thought it was something new and exciting, a great industry to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hopped into that. It was a 4-year course, and then from then I kind of went into did a few internships. I started off originally in a brewery down in Sligo, the White Hag, which I really enjoyed. Great team everywhere I've gone, really. And then moved to a couple of distilleries. I went to Lochgill down in Sligo, which was really good as well. It kind of opened my eyes up into distilleries. And then also I was with Waterford Distillery for a little bit, which was nice. Kind of they do a different approach to things. And then and then now I ended up in Teelings.
Now you've went, you've kind of hit dump three of the big hitters. I mean, Lochgill is one of those ones that a lot of people might not be all that familiar with Lochgill, but I was down there recently, and it's a huge plate. I mean, it's the scale of what they're going to do down there is just incredible. So to even get a taste of that sort of that embryonic stage is huge. So then you moved over to Waterford, who with their terroir project, I mean, the scale of even just to think that they're going to do that and then put it into practice is enormous. And then to go to Teeling with obviously, they'll talk about that in a minute, their cask program's just totally out there. But so you decided to go into that. I mean, obviously you must have been interested in science. Was it the chemistry, the biology, or was it just in general?
I really enjoyed the chemistry part, but just anything really. And the actual course, like, it was really broad. We did like a business side and engineering. It kind of touches on a lot of different aspects, along with the IBD. So it kind of goes along that curriculum. But yeah, I just thought I just took a stab at it and ended up falling in love, really.
Yeah. You're a little bit different than a lot of people, because a lot of people just go into the distilling aspect of it, but you've brewing and distilling, sort of mix of both in your CV, if you like. I've said this before. I mean, the fermentation's really, in terms of the spirit, that's the key part of the whole thing. In the sciencey terms, would you agree with me? What would you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the beginning, there's a few different more aspects like hops and stuff when you're doing brewing. But the general, like the mashing process and the fermentation is pretty much the same. And then for what you do after, it changes a bit. Yeah. It's like with whiskey, it's the aging and everything that kind of makes it what it is. And
well, all up until the fermentation, the wee yeast's doing the wee thing is really where all the flavors created. Everything else is just a refinement of it until you get to the cask, really, isn't it? You know?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And even malt has an entire hugely impact on that as well. Or the different type of process, really. It's just there's so many different aspects that can control your final spirit, and it's kind of fun because there's so much like opportunity to mess around and just create something different every time.
Now, so you're from Carlow? You're from that part of the world?
I'm South African. I've been in Ireland for about 9 years now, but living down in Wexford, and then went to college up in Carlow, and now Dublin. Yeah.
Well, you don't really have much of a South African accent, if you don't mind me saying. You've got a very sort of
neutral almost.
Well, no, I think it's very Irish accent, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah! Oh, thanks. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have known you were from South Africa. That's a bit of a curveball thrown at me. But yeah,
my guess would have been Cyprus.
Oh really? I am actually. The surname is Greek. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Now, so you done your bachelor of science.
Yeah.
In brewing and distilling, is that the actual name of the course?
Yeah, brewing and distilling. Yeah.
So you've done a few internships, a couple of different places, brewing, distilleries, and you end up at Teeling. Now, do you have to serve like an apprenticeship, or do you do like a trainee program and then become a distiller? You know, just what's your day? How does that happen about? How does that come about?
About what, just in general, how I got to the point, or
Yeah,
where I
well,
am
I mean,
now?
you must obviously have to serve a trainee element of it, but is it kind of like an apprenticeship or something along those lines?
Yeah, I suppose because it depends on where you are, but it is quite a practical job. In our third year, we would kind of go on work placement in the brewery or distillery of our choice. And then, so it's kind of, I did that. And then coming out of college, I got a job opportunity from doing the work placement. So I'd gone into that. And then some other opportunities that arose, and they were internships, but I just took it as an opportunity to learn more, even though it was internship. But that's how I got into distilling at that same time, was through an internship and then learning for a bit and then being put onto shift as a distiller and so on. And then getting to where I am now, where I came on as a distiller. I did a short training, about 6 months, and then became a full distiller.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Now, is Teeling running 24/7 these days, or what?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Not yet. We're 7 days a week though.
All right. Okay. Right. If, in an ordinary day, what does your job entail? Do you come in and take over from someone and say, right, or do you fire up the stills, or what? What's your day consist of?
Yeah, it would kind of depend. We rotate between day and night shift. There'd be 2 people per shift. So we would take over from either the morning or vice versa, coming in the morning and starting up. So yeah, if you're coming in the morning, we start up the entire distillery because we shut it down overnight and just go through like the brewing process and look at the fermentation and so on, and then run our stills. We usually do 2 stills at a time, and then from then we send our spirit off.
Yeah. Now, so you come in, flick the lights on, hit the button, up and running.
Yeah.
Get the gearbox up and going.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because we run it's automated, so we run through a PLC system where we do basically everything through the computer, besides like some very physical things like adding our yeast and stuff. Besides that, yeah.
So you're taking care of the fermentation as well as running the stills and making sure the stills.
Oh yeah. It's the entire process throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. So you come in, you do that, and so there's only 2 of you basically doing the manufacturing, if you like.
Yeah, for the shift for half the day.
Yeah. Now, obviously, computer controlled the temperatures and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of sort of sensory evaluation, yeah, there's a sort of, when you see this and you see all the charts and everything doing this,
yeah,
that's all well and good, but you still need that eyeball and nose and I mean, I worked with machinery for 23 years, and the charts maybe do, the readings may be all right, but there's something not quite right.
Yeah, exactly.
So how attuned do you have to be to that, just in terms of?
It kind of depends. Like, you are constantly watching for temperatures and flows and pressure to do with things. But you do kind of get into a flow once you're doing it every day or a few times a week anyways. You kind of, you fall into it where you know what you're looking for, and you kind of just subconsciously check it constantly. It kind of just feels part of the process at that stage.
Yeah. Well, we'll put it like this. Teeling do a wide range of stuff. Okay. I mean, you do obviously your pot still, your single malts, the black pits, the peated stuff, and quite heavily peated stuff. All of that does it have a different process each time because of the sort of nature of the spirit, or is it basically the pot still just runs through the still at the same temperatures and flow rates and all that kind of stuff, or what is it?
Our stills would kind of, with the different spirits, would kind of run the same. We'd sometimes adjust temperatures and stuff because, with different malts, if you're coming up at a different temperature, sometimes the percentage would be different. So you kind of adjust for that. Yeah. But besides with the general process, it's pretty much the same. Sometimes we'd have it in our mash tun, a lauter tun, for a little bit longer, depending on what it is. Like our pot still would be a bit longer. And then obviously using different percentages of malt, like our pot stills 50-50 malted and unmalted barley. And then, basically.
Pretty much the same. So it's basically the same. It's just the mash bills and the ingredients is basically different.
Yeah. Like our yeast stays the same. We kind of use Distiller's yeast and a South African white wine yeast as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Teeling do a lot of different finishes. Right?
Yeah.
You're doing slightly different. Well, you're not doing slightly. They're doing massively different mash bills and stuff these days as well. Is there anything new coming on the scene? Because I mean, it's the one criticism. Well, it's not really criticism I have of Teeling is when you walk in, it's just like, bloody hell, there's some heap of stuff here. So it's written you coming out you baffless again.
Oh yeah. At the moment, like we're kind of trying to look at different grains. There's been some interest in getting crystal malt in, which you most recently have. And crystal malt is quite interesting because it kind of gives like a really rich caramel and like beautiful ruby red color. It's a bit different to how they would do regular malt when they're actually processing it. It'd be the same, like it gets germinated and steeped, and then it kind of gets roasted in a drum for a bit, where the inside would crystallize. So you get that real like caramel flavor coming from it. So we thought maybe we'd bring that in and then produce it for a bit, and then see what it would turn into in our casks.
And probably finish in about 18 different casks just to throw everybody off. But yeah, so are you doing that now, or is that coming along a lot?
Yeah, at the moment we just started brewing with it, so it'd be interesting to see where it comes in the next couple of years, or even further on. Yeah,
it is always funny because you talk about doing stuff now, and you're talking about stuff that people probably not going to taste for about 7 or 8 years.
Exactly, yeah. But I think it's worth the wait, though, because it's exciting to sit and see what it's going to figure out, what it's going to turn out to be. Because sometimes it's a bit hard to predict it, but it just
it's a bit like in the speech that I wrote for Justin last week. I have to say, about every time you taste a whiskey, you're tasting something that's historic, because it has to be a minimum of 3 years ago.
Yeah,
if you think about it, 3 years ago we were in the middle of COVID. We were all sitting at home watching Tiger King and thinking, these people are nuts. But you know what I mean? So no matter what you do with whiskey, it's always that bit historic. So I mean, I don't like saying it. I sort of hate saying this, but you're a young girl, okay? You're a kind of a young person. They're selling whiskies in Teeling that are much older than you.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So are you conscious of this? The stuff that you're producing now, in 15 years' time, it'll be when people are actually opening this and drinking it. Is that something that you're kind of conscious of?
I kind of see it as a great opportunity, because you can kind of put it on the back burner and think about it. It'll pop up again later, and then you're like, oh yeah, and you kind of remember that you did that in a way. I don't know. I think it's kind of a cool opportunity to come in as young. I'm young and ready to learn, and again, like there's not many females in the industry, especially in the whiskey just yet. It's kind of building up at the moment, which is great.
Yes.
But I just think it's very interesting and very exciting to be in the industry really right now.
I'm sure, absolutely. Why would it not be? I mean, you're on the cusp of something really, really old and new at the same time. And the name that you're working with, I mean, let's be honest. Teeling, I've said this 100 times before. I totally credit Dr. John Teeling with being really the savior of Irish whiskey. Maybe not the savior, but certainly the inspiration and the surge behind the Irish whiskey renaissance. I don't think there's anybody could argue with that. And so working with that name must carry a bit of prestige with it as well,
Oh, for sure. I'm very proud to it. And like everyone there, it's a great company to work with. The people are lovely. It's a beautiful team there.
Now, do you, again, thinking with my tourist head on, or my tour guide head on, when people come in, the tourist, because are you aware of them coming in? Because that's a big part of Teeling's business model, obviously, where you are. Do you get to meet and interact with the guys coming in, or do you see them, or they're about to do a bit of this, pointing up.
Yeah. If you've been have you been to the distillery yourself? Yeah.
Oh yeah. A few times.
Oh yeah. So there's kind of our control room there's a big glass window, and it like looks out onto the stills, so it's like we're in a little fishbowl, and some people love to wave and say hello. So it's nice. You kind of get to a little bit of that interaction because there's obviously quite a bit of footfall, which is great for the company.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's nice. Like sometimes we'd have to go and like manually take samples out of the wooden washbacks and so on. And sometimes people will stop and ask you a few questions, and they always seem quite delighted to interact, which is and it's nice on my behalf as well. I do enjoy that little bit of interaction.
Good.
Yeah.
Do the people? I hate saying this, but it's a quite an obvious thing to say. Are people surprised when they see a young girl like yourself running the stills? Because there is still that the old dude with a whiskey perception, and you do come across the
Now, Murray,
macho
you and me
whiskey
have been
prick.
through this before. We
I
know
know.
that women have better taste buds than men. We know this.
well-
We all know this. A certain lady could tell the day a thing went in the cask.
Yeah.
So
Oh, put it like this: we've just had Fiona just popping her head in there to say hello. One of the
she has.
one of the real ladies of whiskey up at Shortcross there. But I mean, do you still get that, or is there people not that surprised anymore?
Yeah, I would sometimes quite get it. Like a little bit, people would assume that I'm working kind of in the visitor center side more than anything. But now we have a bit of a uniform. We have shirts that say distilling team, so it's a little bit of help.
Good. No, but I mean, it's just it's still sort of crap. You have to say that, but it is still a perception. Now, it's nice that there's Fiona saying it's great to see you, Kira. Yeah, exactly. One of the women that has led the way in distilling in her own right. Yep. Or Fiona. I want to say, what sort of spirit do you drink yourself? What sort of whiskey style do you like yourself? Or
very unconventional. I really personally like peated out of all of them, which I know is not that's not a huge fan favorite. But I do I like a lightly peated. You kind of get that real like machino cherry almond kind of marzipan flavors which come through. And I don't know, I really enjoy that because you can kind of sip away with it on
I think a little bit of peat adds so much complexity.
Oh yeah.
But there's sometimes it just. I think that it can be hit and miss, because if you add, I bought one in Scotland there that's lightly peated. Just doesn't work. But
I have to get cue cards so as to know what you're talking about, Kira. By the way,
we've only been doing this 3.5 years. If it was a whiskey, it'd be ready to drink by now. And Justin still hasn't a clue about any of this stuff. That's the truth. He just doesn't. but so you like a bit of light peated now.
Yeah.
Black Pits isn't particularly lightly peated.
No, but I still quite enjoy it. Like I really like the double distilled that we came out with the cost strength. Because I kind of the mouthfeel on that is kind of because you have more of the fusel oils in it. So I quite enjoy that.
You said the key word there, mouthfeel. So overlooked in a whiskey. So overlooked. People never mention it really, but it's a key part of the whole thing. If it feels nice, it normally is pretty good. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
a good mouthfeel overcomes a lot of deficits. If it feels nice, it's normally not too bad. So you like a lightly peated whiskey. Cask finishing. What would be your favourite sort of cask finishing?
Probably a rum cask, I suppose. Kind of rounds it off that little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not too sweet.
No.
Yeah. See, I don't have a massively sweet tooth either. Your day-to-day working environment. Here's a question for you. What's the biggest thing you could make an absolute balls of? When you're still implode or something. What's the one thing that you think to yourself, I can't touch that red button? This is what Justin would do. You just go, I'm not supposed to touch that red button.
For that, well, probably the computer button. Not gonna lie, the power button. Yeah, I know, but obviously you have to be a bit cautious. The stills are probably the most. Actually, no, the boiler. As boring as that is, but because it powers the entire thing. If something is not connecting there, absolutely, nothing's gonna work. So it's kind of your key element to everything. But yeah, or that, or milling. Is probably the biggest, because a lot of issues can happen there. We have a hydro mill, of course, so we have water going at the same time. So it kind of gets it softens the malt a bit, goes for porridgey. So if it's not flowing out right, that can completely get stuck, and then that's a whole thing.
And then do you have to go in and get it?
Yeah, we have to dig it out. Yeah.
Give me a spoon and some sugar and see if you can make porridge out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the man for the job there, Justin. If you ever get stuck, you need something out.
No, that's manual labor. I could never do that, Marty. I could never do that.
Good point. You couldn't do manual labor. So, do you still? Is there any more qualifications that you can be doing? In terms of like the IBD, Institute of Brewers and Distillers.
Potentially, yeah. I do have the opportunity to maybe look into doing a master's in distilling, which I would be quite interested in. It's a little bit step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a W with the WSET familiar kind of the tasting and flavor profiling of whiskey and all that, which would also be quite interesting to do. But I haven't moved forward with any of that yet. But hopefully, wanted to do it in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose just finding your feet now, getting yourself established, and then you can worry about that maybe a couple of years down the line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but no. In terms of an employer, you say Teeling. Teeling's a really good company to work for. Obviously, you can't say anything bad about them. But is that something that they would try and encourage you to do, or possibly?
Oh yeah, they're very good at. They try and they do encourage. They don't necessarily push qualification, but if people do have an interest, they're very encouraging with that, which I think is a very good aspect to have of a company. They just want to watch their employees grow, and I suppose it benefits everybody in the yeah.
How many people work on site in a day? Do you maybe don't know?
On site, in the production team, there'd be about 4. Like on a day-to-day. In the visitor center, it's between 20 to 30, maybe even 50 at that stage, depending if there's events and stuff on.
Yeah. I mean, it's centrally located down the Liberties. I think you have to move to Dublin.
Yeah, no, I did. I had to move. It was a big opportunity. So I just thought, why not? I mean, Dublin is very up and coming right now. It's a great place to be. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting used to it, settling in, been there for about a year now. So
yeah, house prices, rental prices and stuff. Brutal.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's insane. And even to try and find accommodation or housing is absolutely impossible. There's people waiting for housing, going for viewings and stuff, and there's 20 or 30 people waiting outside a door, and it's just crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Now the whole whiskey scene. How much of that are you involved with? Do you enjoy the sort of social aspects of going out and tasting other products, or going to festivals, or any of that kind of stuff? Is that something you're interested in, or is it just...
Oh no, for sure. I've attended Whiskey Live, which I really enjoyed. I think it's kind of one of the biggest ones that you can go to, because there's just so many different distilleries that are there, and there's just so much to try, which you spoil the choice. And then there's a good few places in Dublin I quite like. There's a pub called Searson's, which is great, and they have a lot of quite a wide range of whiskies. And there's quite a few. There's a lot of whiskey lounges and stuff in Dublin, which is great. Again, you have so much choice.
You do, yeah, you do. Peter Stewart's asking, where does the spent grain go?
Our spent grain goes to it goes through to farmers. I'm not necessarily sure exactly who, but we have a company that would take it away for us and then use it for feed.
Yeah. But in terms of all of the waste products from whiskey, basically can be reused in some description, so. Is in terms of Teeling, their environmental footprint is obviously becoming more and more of a thing these days. What about your spent leaves and all that kind of stuff? Is that used for fertilizer and all that?
Not of yet. We do plan to potentially find a better way to dispose of it and everything, but we have it taken away at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I suppose all of that stuff can all be reused in some description.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, in terms of being a young person in whiskey, you said that you did the course because you thought, oh, this is exciting. Did you have any perceptions of it, or sort of what the stereotypical whiskey drinker was, or something before you did the course, or did you just think, oh, this is an interesting thing to do? You know, I'm kind of interested in this.
Yeah, I obviously did know. You know, there's a similar profile for you know, kind of whiskey drinkers, and the same brewers have their own style as well. But because it was the first brewing and distilling course that had started in Ireland, so it just kind of like sounded very interesting to me. So I did kind of go into it a bit blind, but then again, like I've never changed a thing. I would do it all over again.
Yeah, and were you aware of sort of the history and heritage of Irish whiskey at any point, or was it basically the sciencey thing that took your interest?
I knew a bit behind it, and I was quite into craft beer at the time. I was starting new into it, so I was very interested to learn more about it. And I thought, what better way than that, and to learn the science behind it, and then potentially homebrew myself, which I ended up doing. Yeah.
Did you do homebrew? Justin's ears pricked up there. Homebrewing yourself. So were you experimenting with various stuff at home?
Yeah, just like general little small things, really, like a few lagers and ales, and nothing too exciting.
And did you do anything worthwhile?
Probably just a dark porter. Nothing. Yeah, nothing too exciting again.
Oh no! Did your mates come around and you all go?
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. No, very, very good idea. Very, very worthwhile cause.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Now, whenever you were telling your friends that this is what you were going to do, obviously that must have been their first reaction.
Oh yeah, it's all about
absolutely.
the booze, or do you want any tasters? You know, anything. It's always the same, yeah.
And what were your parents? Again, your parents, whenever you said, I want to do brewing, distilling, were they aware of the size of the industry, or how big it was getting and becoming?
Yeah, at the time, I don't really think so. But I had full support from both of them. Funny enough, one of my parents don't drink at all, so even at that, it was my mom. She was still very supportive about it. Just because she saw that there was a bit of a niche in the market because they were creating this course and it was new and happening. So she did push me towards to do it, which I am really thankful for.
Yeah, good. Good.
What would you have done if you hadn't become a distiller then? What were you angling towards, apart from, you know, obviously brewing? What were your choices in life then, Ciara?
Yeah, well, I was a bit interested in either psychology or architecture, actually. Yeah, because I quite enjoy the intricate design of the architecture side, and then again with the psychology, I just find people very interesting. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity. You know, it'd be, you know, never boring job.
Yeah. Trust me, I work with people all the time and they're interested.
Exactly, yeah.
You know,
and he's not just talking about me.
Do you know what I asked the other week? Do you know the wee Highland cow? You know the wee hairy cow? You know the wee thing with the wee thing over its face that gets up in the Highlands?
Yeah.
You feed, here boy, and you feed carrots to. Right? A person from the other side of the pond, let's just put it like that, his wife's feeding carrots to one of these things.
Yeah.
Just plods over this. He says, Marty, can you hunt the hairy cow? It's standing there, right? His wife feeding carrots to it. He's wanting to know if he can shoot it. It's like, I says that'll be some hunt. Here, boy. Come on. People are very weird creatures. Very weird creatures.
Definitely.
Anyway, it's not a wonder I drink. but yeah. No, but in terms of spirits, so is there any other spirits that you quite like? Your rums or anything like that?
I'm quite open to a lot of different things. I've very recently kind of touched into mead. I can't remember the name of one that I've just tried, but it's just because I've never really touched on that. But I find like the mouthfeel very interesting. It's very thick and sweet, and there's a lot of interesting things you can kind of do with that.
Yeah. And now when you go for a drink, is it is it kind of more of a professional thing? Listen, I'm not just sitting here having this. I'm actually doing this as a professional assessment. You know, hang on, whoa! You're talking. This is a busman's holiday for me. You know, is there a bit of that? Do you do a bit of that now? You know,
I say a little bit. You know, you're always working. I know, but It depends. Like I still find, even in my spare time, it is very interesting because I have like a very big interest in it. Like you do, I would still sit there and smell it and like give it a little bit of taste in the beginning. And it's interesting to see what other people have out there, other distilleries and everything, because there's always something brand new coming out, and you have to find time.
How much of an input as a distiller would you have into product development, or is that down to the R&D team, or because Teeling's always been the renaissance in Irish whiskey? Do you know what's going to be the next thing out in 5 years' time in your position? Is that part of your job?
Potentially, we would have general talks about it just to make us aware about what might come out. But it would mostly be all to do with Alex Chasko, our master distiller. It's up to him whether or not something gets done potentially, and he goes and picks barrels, and he would do all the fun stuff.
Well, you have to aspire to something. You have to always keep aspiring to something.
Exactly, yeah.
But in terms of going out of an evening now, are your friends? Do they turn around and say, "What do you recommend?" Is there a bit of this goes on now?
Sometimes, surprisingly, you don't really come across that many people in my age group that would necessarily pull towards a whiskey. But I'm very close to the people I went to college with, because we're a very close-knit group, and we still hang out all the time, and we'd go out together then and try different whiskeys and have suggestions from each other or try each other's whiskeys.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And is there sort of a cadre of brand new, fresh-faced distillers like yourself in dotted all around Ireland now? Is this something we can expect to see?
I'd say so, maybe, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. I mean, the more we move away from there's a couple of categories of whiskey drinker that kind of get all my tits, if I'm totally honest, and that's the old macho whiskey prick, is how I describe them. That I drink whiskey, knob, right? And they do my head in. And then a lot of the weird beard guys, you know who I mean. About 3 years ago, they were all into craft beers, and then they all suddenly became whiskey experts. There's a bit, they kind of do my nut. And so the more young, fresh-faced people coming in to kind of counterbalance all that, the better.
Yeah, we diluted it a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's a huge cadre of those people still existing. But when you see something like Chivas Regal's Scotch finished in an Irish whiskey cask, what's that mean? Because you're a professional. Tell us what that means to you.
Yeah. I'm a bit confused with that myself, because obviously I understand, like, from a technical point of view, they are quite a bit different. Irish whiskey would kind of be that little bit sharper, more of a spicy kind of, there's a lot of heat with it compared to that of Scotch. But honestly, I don't know. Because I mean, it's such a broad point to make. Like, what cask are you using? Is it could be anything.
I mean, if they turned around and said we were using an Teeling cask, well, you're covering a lot of ground there, even to start with. Never mind doing the entire Irish whiskey industry. I mean, it's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Ridiculous, just ridiculous,
Yeah.
Now, we've had a couple of good questions in here. There's Trevor Watson, a regular of ours. He says, "Would you have ice and water in your glass, Ciara? Would that be a thing, or would you be a purist and say no, you can't? Cask strength should be cask strength, and all the rest of it."
Yeah, I would say I don't mind either, really. It would depend on what type of whiskey I'm drinking, or if I feel like maybe this would be nicer with a cube of ice, or sometimes, I'd rather have it warmed up a little bit more, because, sometimes, when it warms up a bit, it opens up a bit, a lot of different flavors come out and different attributes to it. I'm very for adding a little bit of water after trying it a little bit, because, the more water you add, you'd like just a drop or two, and it can open up way more flavors in the same way. So it's each their own, but I'd kind of mix between the two. I'm not weird about it, no.
Yeah. What about poaching? Are you a bit of a fan of poaching, or yay or nay?
It wouldn't be my favorite, I'd say, but I feel like there are probably some very good ones out there. It wouldn't be my top choice now, though. No.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit more refined and elegant. Is that maybe what you're saying? You know,
Yeah.
lightly peated rum casks. You know,
Yes.
but I mean, obviously, to each their own.
Yeah.
In ter- Anybody who you kind of obviously you have to say Alex down and that thing, but is there any other people that kind of inspire you in the industry, or people that you think I really like what they've done, or they've led the way, or so on and so forth?
Mm. Yeah, of course. Well, I do kind of look up to everyone that I had worked in the past. I've always had a great opportunity. They've all taught me something a little bit different. Like in Waterford, it's very interesting to see, they're doing something very different. They have a different approach to what they're producing.
Yeah.
And then Lockgill as well. It was very beautiful to work with them. There was the manager there. Ollie, he's a really, really great guy, and he just has such a passion for whiskey, and that kind of really drove me towards into going into whiskey. It was the first distillery I was with, and just to see how much like love and passion he had for it, like really just made me go for it.
Yeah. I was down there a few weeks ago, and it was the first time I'd ever been in around it, and just now I mean, it's been obviously been taken over by Sazerac, and the scale of what they want to do down there is, I mean, it's talk about whiskey being something projected in the future. What they're doing down there is,
Yeah.
probably a decade's worth of work.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, they have so much space there to do so much, which is amazing,
It's unbelievable, and the location's really cool and all
Oh,
that
it's
kind of stuff.
beautiful.
It
Yeah.
is, it's beautiful. Somebody just asked the question there. What Teeling would Kira recommend picking up this week? If you had to say to William McClenaghan, honestly, this is the one that I think you should be picking up. Is it the brand new? Tell him the brand new 33-year-old, because that would be the one he could afford.
It is gorgeous though. It depends on like what you'd like. I mean, obviously, generally, small batch is always a hitter with everyone. It's a very easy to like. Yes, as there, it's for everyone. That kind of thing. It's a nice gateway into Irish whiskey. I feel, because it obviously is a blend, and there's a lot of different things they do there, and then even expanding from the small batch. We have the Explorers Edition, which is very cool. We did it with cachaça type casks. Which was just done in Brazilian hardwood, which was very interesting. It's a little bit different. I find that really nice. It's like a crisp caramel toffee and like a bit of woodiness to it. Something a little different.
The range of Teeling stuff is incredible. It's just. And sometimes I do find it a little baffling, or not baffling. But it's just that it's kind of the small batch and the pot still is like the two, right? That's there, but it's just bloody everything else after it. It's like and it's just a huge range of stuff.
Yeah, there's something for everyone, really, which I think is interesting, because I think they try and appeal to a lot of people, and we're just constantly trying to showcase that there's so many different attributes that you can change, and you can come out with a completely different product, which is just amazing to see.
Yeah, it's a huge range of stuff. The presentation and some of the Renaissance bottles and stuff is just beautiful. It really is.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those ones. I think at the minute the secondary market doesn't rate it that much because blah blah, but they will in the future. I think in the future it'll be a really nice collections to have sitting on the shelf.
Oh yeah, and it's a beautiful bottle as well. I think
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is. There's a whole lot. I mean that's a standard sort of classic bottle. That's just a nice classic whiskey bottle in terms of the shape. But yeah, I agree. The small batch is dead easy to drink. You just open it up, have a sip at it. Everyday sipper. Yeah, there's a lot to like about it.
Yeah, and even if you don't necessarily want to sip it like straight up, you can. It's great for a load of different cocktails. It works very well with different things, and
that's his department. That's our Justin's department. Yeah. Whiskey Dale saying the 13-year-old single grain.
Oh yeah, and the Bordeaux red wine cask.
It hasn't specified, but quite possibly. There's the amount of stuff that they have out is just incredible, really. But what other things would you like to see them doing, or are you just wanting to find your feet and then Do you think there's other stuff that you would like to pull out of the hat at some point, or maybe different yeasts or something like that? Would that excite you?
Oh yeah, different yeast for definite. I mean, because there's, especially at the moment, there's like a huge surplus of different varieties coming out with different flavor profiles, and I feel like with that, because it's kind of more of an immediate thing that you can see, that you can smell, obviously, with after the fermentation. So that'd be very interesting to do. And I know Alex himself like absolutely loves different types of yeast and the different experiments that you can do with it. So that'd be, I'd say possibly that would be on the cards. It'd be very cool to see in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be a fantastic thing to be able to do. You know, all the different yeasts, and as you say, I mean, there's so many variables that it's easy to sort of change this and change that and change that. But if you have a standard process that you say is pretty much all across the board, just to change the yeast, which is the key fundamental part of the whole thing, just to change that and see the massive difference that it comes out there. You know.
Oh yeah.
I see Belfast Whisky Week's decided to join us. Are you coming up for Belfast Whisky Week? Are you going to come up and pay us a visit on Belfast?
Oh, maybe. When is it happening, actually? Sorry.
It's later on this. It's the 21st to the 29th of this month.
Okay.
So if you get a day off, come on up and pay us a visit.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds cool.
Oh, it's definitely cool. There's piles of stuff on it. Piles of stuff. Justin will be there just in case you want to meet Justin in the flesh.
Oh yeah.
You got to say something there, Justin? We've lost your sound, buddy. We've lost you.
Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
I'm double clicking it twice. There's cocktails, there's buns, there's everything.
Cocktails, buns, the whole thing.
It's not just for purists. It's not just for purists. And you get to go on tours of Belfast and the history of Belfast whiskey with the likes of Marty. And listen, I've been doing it for 3 years and I still haven't learned anything, but I still go anyway, Kira.
Yeah.
Justin never learns anything, ever.
There's the answer. Teeling are involved. It's the marketing department. The marketing department.
What you could do, Kira, is say, listen, do you want me to go up and do some of the Teeling stuff and see if they'll pay hotel and your fare up and all? That's you have to. If you don't ask, you don't get, Kira. You don't. This will show initiative, and they might pay your way up as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Kira, I must congratulate the marketing department. They've done such a good job, right? They've done such a good job that I've spent the entire show resizing the file size because the pictures are big enough to go on a billboard on the side of the Empire State Building. So my computer, I couldn't understand why my computer was going like that there because it wouldn't handle the file size. So I've had to go online, upload every time you mention the whiskey, and download it to get the picture.
I'm so sorry. That's on my behalf. Sorry.
No, it's not. It's because obviously you want the best and biggest file size sent out, but for the internet you only really need 300 dots per inch. You know, you don't need 15 million megapixels, but it's nice.
Megapixels. Justin's talking megapixels. Time for go to sleep.
Listen, we've got one last question from Alan Mateer. He says wine has a certain amount of snobbery. I don't think whiskey's like that. I think whiskey, they like people learning about whiskey.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I feel like you do get some people that would necessarily have that same look into whiskey as they would as to wine, but I just feel like there's a different category of people that, people are there to enjoy it and they want to. Not saying that they don't want to enjoy wine, but it's more about how it feels and taste, and people. It's more about, you're not going to sit and some people would have a whiskey alone, but it's to be enjoyed, together as a group. And
it's probably more of a group thing, just socially, because most people, most wine drinkers, you sit and have a glass of wine with your dinner and maybe watch it.
Yeah.
Whereas whiskey, traditionally, you'll drink it with a mate or your partner or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's a bit easier to drink a bottle of wine than a bottle of whiskey by yourself,
Kira, just as a wee warning, if you're drinking a bottle of whiskey by yourself, you're doing something badly wrong. You don't need to be drinking a full bottle of whiskey by yourself. Bottle of wine, fair enough. I see Laurie O'Dwyer's popped in to say hello to us. Laurie, Whiskey Chats. top man he is. And Laurie's going to be coming knocking your door to get a wee interview with you at some point. Don't worry about that, Kieran. He'll come down. Good lad he is. But there's Paul. Paul saying, chance your arm. Say, go into work on Monday, or if you're working tomorrow.
Paul's invited me up to Belfast Whiskey Week. I need to stay in the Grand Centre Hotel.
Just say, listen. I believe we have some stuff going on at Belfast Whiskey Week. I was talking at the weekend there, and the guys have invited me up because they want to hear what I've got to say. So, any chance you want to pay my train ticket, maybe some fare up and pay a hotel room. If you don't ask, you don't get, Kira. Show initiative.
That's true. Yeah. I'll try something. Yeah.
but listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's great to see young people getting involved in this kind of stuff and obviously enjoying it. Obviously thinking it's a hell of a good trade to be in. And I like the idea of all those tourists coming down into Teeling, coming up, seeing your young smiley face up at the top of it, and interacting with you. You know, it's nice that that's being put out there by a big brand like Teeling. It's really really cool.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Remember to comment, like, and share. We're live every week, 10 p.m. on YouTube, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitch, Twitter. And, we aren't in Threads yet because,
very lazy of you, Justin. Get your finger out. Get Zuckerberg. Get a Zuckerberg in Threads.
There's only so much I can do. There's only so much I can do in a week. I need 15 helpers like RTE or BBC. Don't I need 15 helpers?
You need the wage for that. You need the wage for the RTE.
I know. And you didn't even bring me a sample of whiskey from Wales.
Listen, Kira, same as you done with my dinner. I drunk it.
All right, Kira, it's been a pleasure. It's been lovely having you.
Come on up and pay us a visit at Belfast Whiskey Week, and we'll get a yarn with you and catch up with you there.
For sure. I'll try my best. Thank you so much for having me, you guys. It was lovely being with you.
It's lovely.
There you go.
Listen, we'll look forward to catch up with you again soon.
For sure.
People are saying thank you.